It is a myth that rape is an inevitable part of conflict.
Every single time people start treating advocacy like fashion, something sacred gets lost. Now imagine that sentence echoing off the walls of a Beverly Hills summit like it was dipped in diamonds and venom. That's the vibe Angelina Jolie gave off recently, and let me tell you, Hollywood hasn't breathed right since. Picture it. A room full of industry powerhouses sipping their ethically sourced tea, waiting for Angelina to bless them with one of her quiet surgical truths. She doesn't tweet, she doesn't shade on talk shows, she doesn't even do social media unless it's to remind us she was in Iraq while you were still arguing over your brunch order. But then she said the sentence. There's a difference between telling a story and stealing someone else's voice while smiling for the camera. Whew, say it with a velvet glove and a dagger underneath. No names, no mentions, but you could practically hear Blake Lively's pastel-colored brand crumbling in real time. Everyone in that room, and soon everyone outside of it, knew exactly who Angie was serving that stone-cold verbal hors d'oeuvre to. And baby, it wasn't just spicy, it was scorched earth. So here's the tea.
Even if Justin was too huggy or whatever the heck, or said she was sexy, none of this warrants this. And you still have to atone for what you did.
A few days before the summit, Blake Lively launched her brand new campaign called Homebound, all soft fonts and hand-holding in war-torn villages. Sounds sweet, right? It's like something out of a Pinterest board titled Empathy Chic. But then people started noticing this wasn't just inspired by Angelina's 2 decades of humanitarian work, it was a carbon copy. Right down to the tagline, rebuilding what's been broken one voice at a time? Yeah, Angie used that in 2019 with the UN during actual refugee work, not an Instagram shoot in ethically sourced linen. And what did Blake do when people called it out? Deleted everything. Poof! Her homebound site suddenly went down for maintenance. The promo video vanished. Even the Instagram post with the caption "Every voice matters" went MIA like it was in witness protection. No statement, no apology, no whoopsie, just pastel silence. But this is the internet. Nothing really dies here. Screenshots flooded Reddit faster than a Kardashian baby announcement. Side-by-side comparisons of Blake's photo ops and Angelina's field visits showed the same poses, same phrases, same energy, except one had dirt under her nails and the other had a lighting crew. Then came the anonymous leaks. Emails from UN press aides, comms interns, brand decks, all basically saying Blake didn't just borrow from Angelina's playbook, she Xeroxed it. One intern even dropped a quote from Blake's team asking, "Can we get a shot like that Angelina pic in Jordan but with softer tones? Think compassionate but prettier." Prettier. This isn't a wedding mood board, it's actual war trauma. So now the conversation wasn't just about stolen credit, it was about erasure. Angelina had spent years quietly building relationships in war zones, amplifying voices, writing op-eds like "When the Cameras Leave," a piece that's now used in advocacy trainings worldwide. Blake? She took that legacy, gave it a filter, and tried to repackage it for a podcast-friendly launch. Even her 2022 campaign quote, "The world doesn't change when we look away, it changes when we care beautifully," was basically Angelina's 2015 quote in a sparkly new dress. And here's the part that feels like a slow-burn revenge drama on HBO. Angelina still didn't name her. She let the world do the math, and oh, did they calculate.
I would say I felt more comfortable being around Justin than a lot of film directors in my experience.
Florence Pugh and Charlize Theron unfollowed Blake on Instagram. 2 fashion publications pulled their features. A talk show bumped her humanitarian segment. Meanwhile, Angelina? Crickets. Not a word. But her creative director posted that quote on his private story in stark white text on a black background, and it hit harder than any official statement ever could. Then came Natalie Portman, quietly jumping in with her own shade. First, she followed Angelina, which in celeb code is the equivalent of picking a side with a megaphone. Then she reposted a quote that read, "Legacy isn't about being seen, it's about what remains when you're no longer looking," which, let's be honest, could have been subtitled, "Dear Blake, kindly sit down." And the cherry on top? A leaked video of Natalie at a Berlin film event. When someone said it's hard protecting authentic advocacy from celebrity rebranding, Natalie gave a smile that could frost glass and said, "Yes, and I think the world is finally learning to tell the difference." One sentence. That's it. The kind of sentence you want to print out, frame, and hang in the lobby of every PR agency in Los Angeles. Meanwhile, back in Beverly Hills, the Artist for Ethics Summit has become the stuff of modern Hollywood legend. One attendee called Angelina's moment a slap delivered with velvet gloves. Another said it wasn't just about imitation, it was about erasure. The idea that someone could waltz in, take your voice, your work, your history, slap a pastel bow on it, and pretend it was all brand new. And honestly, That's the part that had people fuming. Because here's what makes Angelina different. She doesn't just visit refugee camps for photo ops. She builds long-term relationships, listens, documents, and then disappears. Not because she's done, but because the point was never about her. Meanwhile, Blake tried to give humanitarian work a pastel aesthetic and forgot one key thing. You can't beautify trauma into a campaign, especially not when the original author is still alive, watching, and now speaking. And not just that, it all really started to spiral after that one line. You know, the line, those who copy the language of empathy the best are the ones who feel it the least. Chilling, right?
He's willing to speak out when nobody else right now has.
Bill.
What do you make of the allegations and the complaints against him?
In my opinion, I find it very hard to believe the allegations against him.
Angelina didn't even blink when she said it, just stared dead into the lens like she was staring into Blake's soul from across continents. It wasn't part of the final campaign video, which makes it even more cinematic. Someone dug it up, posted it to TikTok with the caption, "She warned us before anyone even asked." And suddenly, the world realized this wasn't just drama, this was a reckoning with designer lighting and UN credentials. But let's be honest, the internet doesn't need a PR rollout to catch a vibe. TikTok did what TikTok does best: stitch it with old clips, add a moody Billie Eilish soundtrack, and turn a deleted scene into a prophecy. Comments were unhinged in the best way. The Real Cinema said that old Angelina clip hits different now, and those who copy empathy the best feel the least is crazy accurate. It was giving main character meets moral compass, and Blake, she wasn't ready. And just when you thought the internet had done its damage, along came Exhibit B, a 2011 behind-the-scenes Gossip Girl clip. Blake, in full bubbly mode, is asked her favorite quote. Her answer? "If you look the part, you'll get the part." Cute in 2011, devastating in 2025. TikTok did what TikTok does, juxtaposed it next to Angelina comforting survivors and Natalie Portman's climate work. Suddenly, Blake's quote wasn't cheeky anymore, it was practically a neon sign flashing cosplay activism. It hit 3.2 million views in a day. Twitter added its usual spice, that quote aged like spoiled milk, and honestly, facts.
I feel like maybe Blake smelled his kindness, mistook it for weakness, and tried to take advantage and take power, so.
Wow.
No need for a PR team when a fan edit can end your whole aesthetic in under 30 seconds. Then came the moment. No makeup, no lighting crew, just Angelina at the UN Women's Summit, softly detonating every illusion with one speech. Everyone expected something polished, something political. What they got instead was straight-up soul surgery. She didn't throw names, didn't even raise her voice, but her line, "There are people who wear suffering like a dress rehearsal and call it activism," landed like a slap with silk gloves, and the whole room turned and looked at the same person without anyone having to say it. Blake must have felt it too, because suddenly she vanished. Podcast appearances canceled. Women in Media panel, poof. Her weekly Cozy Home Instagram update with perfectly staged throw pillows and vague empowerment captions, ghosted. No clapbacks, no cryptic captions, just digital crickets. And the internet, bless its chaotic heart, noticed. Fan pages once obsessed with her started reposting Angelina's quote instead. One comment practically saying, "You can't pose next to pain and expect it to be seen as powerful, not when the women who lived it are finally speaking." Ouch. Then came the photo. You've seen it. The grainy, accidentally iconic image from a private UNHCR gala. Angelina and Amal Clooney in hushed conversation, composed, glowing, deadly quiet power. And across the room, Blake, alone at the end of the table, not talking, not posing, just watching, like an extra who wandered into the wrong genre. Reddit lost its collective mind. The caption? "The room knows." And in that grainy, dimly lit frame, everyone suddenly realized the plot had changed and Blake was no longer the lead. For the first time since the campaign trail began, nobody rushed to defend her. Not even a fan edit with pastel filters could save the vibe.
Like we, as an audience, couldn't see what was happening and what she was saying, and we didn't agree with what she was saying, and people started talking about it on social media.
Then came the unfollow-pocalypse. First Angelina, then Natalie, then Emma, Yara, Lupita. Quiet exits from her followers list, like Hollywood's version of a silent protest. No statements, no drama, just a very clear, very public no thank you. And by the time the fifth unfollow rolled in, the internet had already moved on like a scorned lover who found someone better. Weeks later, a whisper from inside the Blake bubble made its way to an entertainment blog. Apparently, she'd been obsessively rewatching Angelina's speech, but on mute. During a branding call, someone joked about the quote, and Blake didn't laugh, just sat there, stared, and said, "I didn't think it would stick." Not in fear, not in anger, just disbelief, like someone who brought a costume to a revolution and got shocked when the real warriors didn't clap. That line, "I didn't think it would stick," broke the spell, not because it is dramatic, but because it shows what she truly misjudged, not the performance, not the optics, but the substance. See you next time.